Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Start off with Xander and Philip, or as I like to call him, the man-child. So, long story short, Xander gets fired and then he gets rehired. Jane Spears paid Victor a visit, and she kind of confirmed, she pretty much helped out Xander by playing a recording of Xander trying to stop her from calling the cops. From going to the cops. So that played a factor. Well, that played a huge factor, and Xander getting rehired. But Philip apparently had an emergency meeting with the board and pretty much kind of like froze Xander out. So I don't know what that means. I really don't know what that means because he seems like he's sure that Xander's not coming back. But the last time I checked, I'm pretty sure it was Victor's company. So I don't know how much of a final say that really comes into play. But yeah, Xander's rehired, and Victor was like, "Listen, this is pretty much your last chance. So don't blow it." That was it. Other than that, you have Victor and Jane Spears go back and forth with each other. So, yeah. Claire also met the new intern that I kind of forgot his name. I think his name was like Dale or something, and he asked her out, and I'm pretty sure at some point they're probably going to go out. Also, Claire pretty much just believes what Allie said. And when she confronts Trip, she's all just like, "Well, you did it, and I believe her over you, and case is closed." Which kind of annoys me. Because she spent time with him, she said she was in love with him. So the fact that she didn't even get pause or second, to even consider the fact that maybe she didn't remember what she thought she remembered, really says a lot about her character. She didn't even bother to sit there to give him the benefit of the doubt, one way or the other. Just, nope, wrote you off, she said it, so I believe her. I had to sit there and record this 3 times because I just kept losing my temper. And I'm trying to calm down. And here's where we get into this problematic part of this show. I made a comment at the bottom, and somebody was sitting there telling me about how this is going to be going on for a while. And I made a comment at the bottom sitting there saying that there's other parts of the show that I can enjoy, that I do enjoy. But this storyline is not one of them. This storyline is problematic because it is divisive. It is just not fun. When I sit there and think about soap operas and stuff like that, the fantasy, the romance, all this stuff, the juicy gossip, this isn't one of them. This isn't something that's fun to watch for me. This is something that I am constantly feeling like I'm on edge, that my blood is boiling, just sitting there watching Allie talk. Because Allie is an annoying character in general. Let's just take away the story for a minute. Her character is really annoying and obnoxious because for a woman who's supposed to be an adult, she talks like she's 15 years old. And the thing that really kind of like grind my gears is when Nicole was sitting there talking to her, and she was sitting there talking, she was sitting there talking about the conversation she was having with Trip, and she was like, he was so sure that nothing happened, and he didn't acknowledge anything, and it's like he doesn't understand what was going on. This, that, and the third. And this is after Nicole was just batting for her. And she looked at Allie and she was like, "Allie, are you certain that he did this to you?" And then Allie gave that really irritating look on her face, that That look. Where it's like, poor Allie. Poor Allie. Let's tiptoe around Allie's feelings. Poor Allie. Let's not say anything to upset her because you know she's going to sit there and lash out because she's so emotional. And take this out the way. She's so much an emotional character in general that everyone has to constantly tiptoe around her and her feelings. That look on her face. Where she was unsure. And that brings me to, and I've been saying this for a couple of days, and I am so sorry for repeating myself, but again, if there's any doubt, there's any hesitation, the fact that you accuse this man of something and you have doubt yourself, I have an issue with that. Now, of course, she tried to backtrack, and she was like, yeah, I'm sure he did it, this, that, and the third. But what it came across to me is that she already came out and said the statement. She was already so sure that this happened. And so I feel like, and this is just my interpretation, that she's just going along with this because that's how she felt. You know? She wants to reassure herself so much that he did this. This is why she was not there pumping Claire for information. To assert her narrative. So when she kept talking like he did it, it was like, are you sure he did it? Or are you just at this point where you're just driving forward with this narrative because you want to believe it so bad? I don't want to sit there and say I don't enjoy talking about this, but whenever I talk about this portion, I'm not like laughing or joking and stuff like that. This is just like serious. And I generally don't like to be like this, but I can't sit there and talk about this Allie situation, this Allie and Tripp situation, without being serious because this is somebody's life that's on the line. Somebody's career, their whole reputation. You know, when Claire walked away and she was all like, oh, well, I'm going to practically make sure everyone knows this, it's like, see, that's my problem. Because if it turns out that he's not the father of that child, my goodness. The dumpster fire between Allie and Claire is going to just be... I'm just going to write them off. I mean, I somewhat already wrote Allie off up until this point. But if it turns out that he is not the father of this child, I'm done with her. I just... Every time I talk about her moving forward, if he didn't do what she claimed, I'm just going to talk about her as though she is trash. Now, granted, on the other end, if it comes out that he did this, yeah, I'm going to talk about him like he's absolutely trash. But I guess we just have to wait and see. And speaking on that part, this is where we get to the Kayla and Steve part, because the tension is there. You know? Kayla pretty much already made up her mind that she believes what Allie is saying. And Tripp pretty much was like, that hurts, that you're not even going to bother to give him the benefit of the doubt after he's worked so hard to sit there and try to turn his life around. And granted, she said something along the lines of, well, what does she gain from lying? You know? Like, why would she lie about something like this? And this is when Steve was like, well, she was drunk. That made it play a factor into it. And the fact that Kayla rolled her eyes, did that, was like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Aren't you a doctor? So you should understand how alcohol can play a factor into this. But the fact that she dismissed that part was like, so I guess just common sense and, you know, believe into he's actually, you know, like, let's not sit there and just cast judgment before we decide, you know, before we get evidence is just out the window. It's hearsay. We take her side because, of course, she's poor Allie. And I say that because everyone is there treating her like she's this fragile, innocent girl. When not that long ago, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't she a party girl that just didn't have any responsibility and didn't really care about life or anything like that? But now it's... listen, that doesn't excuse... with that being said, that doesn't excuse if Tripp actually did that. But I think that a lot of these people are rushing to judgment like Claire and Kayla before we find out the truth. And that's what I don't like about the story. And that's what's just really irritating me. And granted, Tripp was just... it's a dumbass thing that he did for going over her place. Especially after a woman says that you did something. The first thing you're going to do is go to her house? Are you serious? You can't be that dumb. Well, clearly he can because he did it, so... yes, this part of the story, I definitely am just not enjoying it. I'm not going to sit there and say it sucks, because it is a real life thing that does happen. And, you know, Kayla kept to talking about, well, maybe he's one of those men that just, you know, don't know how to sit there and take no for an answer. I was like, there we go again. When she started talking, it was like, I already knew that she made up her mind. You know? She's sitting there trying to do this whole back and forth, not really trying to say her full piece because she doesn't want to sit there and upset Steve. And I get that she's caught in this, you know, if I say anything wrong. But I'm kind of just like, listen. You need to either do one or two things. You need to either sit there and wait until the full evidence come out before you just start judging him. Or you need to sit there and tell Steve exactly how you feel. Because tiptoeing around him isn't doing anyone any favors. Anyway, I can kind of just keep going on and on. But I'm not going to lie. This episode just exhausted me. And... I know the people on there that watch this, that watch my channel as far as this goes, is watching it for days, but, I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually kind of looking forward to GH right now. Because, you know, people can sit there and say what they want about GH, and they can sit there and say that GH sucks to days, and this, that, and the third. And, to some extent, I will admit there are certain parts that I do like about Days than GH. But for right now... GH is just more light, you know? It's just more drama and suspense and stuff like that. It's not this heavy... Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a fan of the whole Me Too thing with Kiki and whatever that doctor's name was, but once it passed, it just became fun again. And right now, I can really kind of use that, you know? So... yeah, I'm actually looking forward to watching GH. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to more of how this whole Kristen and Eli and Lonnie thing is going to turn out. I'm looking forward to that other stuff of Days, so hopefully we can kind of start to, like, get back on that a little bit and just kind of take this to the side. Just for a little bit, you know? Because it's just... it's exhausting. There's no other word to put it. It's just exhausting. Half of the times I'm just sitting there watching this and I'm like... and I'm looking at my phone and I'm just like... And I'm boiling. You know, I'm boiling. Because I'm like, I'm sitting there listening to Allie talk, which is just... and, how this whole thing's unfolding, I'm just not happy. There's no other way to put it. I'm just not happy because... anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna just stop talking because at this point I'm just rambling. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this whole situation. And, also I apologize for just keep going on and on and on about this whole Tripp thing and just, like, reiterating what I'm saying, but every time we get back to this, I just feel like there's no other way to sit there and talk about this other than until we get more facts. And maybe if we get more facts from Tripp's side, or if we get more dirt from Tripp's side, then I can kind of talk about this in a different light. Because here's the thing, I don't mean to sit there and come so hard at Allie, but one, she's not making her case easy by the fact that she was drunk. Period, point blank. Two, she just comes across as she's not 100% sure. So it doesn't really help whenever she starts talking about this, because there's nothing really to back it up other than her word. And the fact that she's not fully remembering this. And three, we haven't heard everything from Tripp's side. I mean, like, we heard it from Tripp's side, but until we get more solid evidence that Tripp actually did this, it just really comes across as more Allie's. It just comes across as more like I'm going hard on Allie when I'm not. But anyway, yeah, have a good day, good night, depending on when you're watching this. Be safe. I'll catch you in the next review.